Hi and welcome to another Watch Geek video. Today we take a look at the Guanjin, probably one of the most elegant, original and classically styled watches offered on GearBest. A lot of brands offered on GearBest do homages of known designs, but usually size the watches up, which is why I chose this model. It was not only original and classical in design, but in size as well. Though most watches today start at 40mm in diameter and go up, this one was advertised as 36 to 40. When I read the specs, I was kinda skeptical about it and expected to receive a 40mm watch. To my surprise, the watch is 38.5 in diameter with a short 45mm lug-to-lug. Combine that with the thickness of 11.7 and you have a watch that sits beautifully on the wrist and makes even a smaller wrist look relatively large and manly. I just love the size. I also love the design. Some might call it boring, but it is beautiful in its simplicity. From the classically shaped case to the simple dark gray dial and these beautiful thin hands, this looks like a watch. Nothing more, nothing less. The only thing disrupting this design is the white date at 3 o'clock. If they went with a black date disc, or even better, got rid of the date altogether, the simplicity of the watch would become the main theme, making it look even better. The hands and markers are polished and have no lume whatsoever, so telling time in the dark with this is almost impossible. They do, however, catch the light easily, so any source of light will make them shimmer. Although I like the shape of the hands, I wish they were just slightly longer. The watch comes with a mineral crystal and 30 meters of water resistance, meaning it can take splashes of water, but personally I wouldn't feel comfortable wearing it into the water. Not only because of the low water resistance, but also build quality. Although on paper this watch looks good, especially given the bracelet that comes with solid links, solid end links, and a milled butterfly clasp, somehow it all feels tinny and less solid than the specs would suggest. The bracelet feels like a cheap stamped Seiko 5 bracelet, and I can't understand why. This feeling is carried over to the crown operation as well. The winding feels nice and smooth, but setting up the date feels like you're breaking something inside, which doesn't inspire confidence in the longevity of the movement. The movement itself looks like a Miyota 8200 clone, but it does come with both hand winding and hacking, something Miyota lacks. It is also gold colored, giving it a bit of flair. Since the automatic winding is unidirectional, the rotor does spin quite freely and you do feel it on the wrist, something we're used to when it comes to Miyota and some ETA movements. This watch costs around $50 on GearBest and to me looks like a direct competitor to the Star King I reviewed already. The Star King offers slightly better specs with a sapphire crystal and a high beat movement that beats at 28,800 pph, but that is not its biggest advantage. The biggest advantage the Star King has over this is the feeling of solidity. Despite both bracelets having the same specs on paper, the Star King one actually feels like a solid bracelet with solid links and a well-made butterfly clasp. It feels premium, and the whole watch gives you a feeling of getting amazing value for your money. With this, although on paper it seems the same amazing value, when you hold the watch in your hands, you realize it is not an expensive piece. The only real advantage that this has over the Star King is the smaller size, as it makes the watch look more balanced on a smaller wrist like mine. If the size is your main priority, you should go for this. If the feeling of solidity is what you're after, I would advise you to go for the Star King. One thing is common with both, and that is the lack of a real long-term guarantee of reliability. That is sadly common to all of these budget Chinese brands. The Star King I have is actually the second example, as the first one died after a week. The Cadison Lambda I reviewed and gave to my wife has stopped winding itself after only a month, turning it from an automatic to a manual wind model only. And this, with its rough feeling when changing date, already feels like something is wrong. though it might end up outliving all the others since those use newly developed movements, while this one uses a more tried and tested clone. But my point is that you simply can't know. And for that reason, if you can live with a cheap stamped bracelet, a simple mineral crystal, and an outdated movement, I would recommend the Seiko 5 that, although unable to hack or handwind, will probably last you decades problem-free. Well, this completes this week's review, so thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and until the next video, bye.